Biggest show in sports.
NBA Finals, Oklahoma now with a 3-2 lead in the series. I got to tell you, I mean, we've talked about this before on the show. I'm not the biggest NBA fan. I watch it because I want to be informed as to what's going on, and I'm trying to get involved in it. I'm trying to get excited about it. But I got to tell you, I realize there are basketball people who are going to tell me that, Ed, that was a very exciting game. It was a great game 5. It was all these things. I got to be honest. It was a good game. Oklahoma played good defense. Indiana didn't show up. Halliburton was hurt. But what am I missing? You guys really got to tell me this as a non-basketball full-timer. What was I missing in that game that I didn't see? And George, because you're new to the group here, I'm going to let you go ahead first on this one.
Well, here's the problem with that segue. I am in your camp. I've not tuned out completely, but in terms of, and I've said this to a lot of people, in terms of sports, I still know my way around, but I'm nowhere near as tuned in as I was before. Maybe it was, you do it for so long for a living. So is it compelling? I suppose so, but I'm not dialed in watching every single play. I think it's interesting, though, that you've got obviously two very smaller markets in play, and still you can obviously contending for a title, which may or may not make network executives happy. But in terms of me riveting drama and all that, I've checked out. I think Mike probably be the most appropriate person to answer this question at the moment.
So then, Mike, where is the riveting drama in this NBA Finals? It shows up occasionally, but for those of us who are not basketball nuts, it just seems to be the game moves on and one team plays well and one team doesn't. I'm missing the drama.
Yeah, well, according to my sources, Pesto and Marinara, Adam Silver has disrespected the NBA again. I get paid $20 million a year for that. I want to say right now that basketball is my, that's where I made my bones at the New York Times. I played in college very poorly. I was the guy that, basically the coach was like, Wise, we're down 20. You can't hurt us. Go in. At a very small college in Hawaii, and then a junior college in Sacramento, where Scott Brooks, God bless him, once scored 35 on me. But I guess what I'm saying is I love the game too. And I love the game like nothing else in the world. And my son plays now. And I watch because it's dramatic. I mean, for me, it's entertaining. It's my favorite sport, especially during the finals. But I liken this, if I'm putting myself in the shoes of you guys and anybody that doesn't tune in like I do, it reminds me kind of when Jordan left the NBA for the second time in '99. And what you had left was a lot of unlikable characters who were going, like Sprewell was going to the finals. New York loved Sprewell. The rest of the country didn't, because he choked his coach and he wasn't. He was kind of persona non grata as somebody who the fans liked. The Knicks became an exciting team to me because I was covering, but it was like the Knicks, the number 8 seeded Knicks, and the San Antonio Spurs of Spock, basically Tim Duncan, who had the personality of a washcloth and wasn't at the time had not turned into this wonderful power forward. I think it was his second or third season. And David Robinson was basically carbon dated by then. And so nobody really liked or knew the Spurs either. And so it was Spurs versus Knicks after the Jordan Jazz final, after the Bulls Jazz finals. And it just didn't feel like the right. And I feel in this, like Halliburton, as he develops into a new star, and Stephen Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, he develops into a new star. They're sort of like pushing the Steph Currys, the LeBrons, the guys that you got used to seeing all these years aside. And it's probably good for the league, but it's growing pains because, one, it's two small markets. Nobody's, you saw the ratings, nobody's watching. And two, it's just, it's a different world. The NBA is in a different time, and people are going to have to get used to these guys, and it might take them a couple finals.
Well, but that's just it. It seems as if to me, and again, the non-basketball guy, but the sports guy who's been in it my whole life. You mentioned Michael Jordan there, and Latrell
Yes.
Sprewell and others. There is no marquee player in this NBA Finals. You can give me SGA. You can talk about Halliburton. You can talk about guys having great games, but there's no sizzle here to this. Maybe it's the
Well, that's
franchises,
it's
maybe it's the players. I don't get that sort of. Here's a guy I got to see. I got to tune that in because I'm going to see this guy have a great game. I'm going to see him run the game. I'm going to see him showtime, whatever you want to call it. Maybe maybe it's just the old guy who wants to see something from the past. But I don't get that I don't get that pull, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, George, you could speak to it because you've been to some huge events. And George and I know each other from back in the day. I think we met probably early '90s while he was covering the Orlando Magic, and he was writing columns, and it was Shaq and Penny when they first started.
Yeah.
You know, it was like the new blood. They were enthralling, man. They even had a
Yeah.
fan base that included Urkel. Remember Urkel?
That was it. That
Jaleel
was it.
White was there.
Yeah, when the Magic went to the finals against LA, I laughed at the star power, because you've got all these celebrities, Nicholson, everybody else in LA, and we have Urkel, and I forget who the hell else we had, but it wasn't much. We had Robert Earl, the guy who owns the Planet Hollywood Empire guy, and that was about it.
Yeah,
well, just,
but
I
yes,
don't.
there was
I want
definitely
to.
a buzz.
See, that's the thing. I want to watch the games and I want to feel the buzz. I want to get into it. And I tried. Man, I tried in game
Well,
5.
okay.
I really tried. And
Here's
it
what-
just didn't happen.
Here's what the problem is. We're watching a new game now. I call it the Steph Curry Chuck from the parking lot game, where a guy could have a layup underneath, and any of us that played elementary basketball when we were in first grade, the coach said to you, hey, if the guy's underneath the hoop, you pass it to him for a layup. Guys don't do that anymore. They throw it to the guy underneath, and he throws it outside because statistical analysis tells him that we need to hit the three. And if you shoot the three over 40% for the game, and you make it like that, that's a better shot statistically because these guys can shoot from there so easily. But the main guy in this series who's going to win the MVP, he's like playing with the game that time forgot. He's got this mid-range SGA. Gilgeous-Alexander has this like nice mid-range game. He gets to his spots on the floor. You don't measure his vertical with a Metro card, but he's not some leaping athletic marvel, and yet he's so strong and he's so crafty. And yet we don't care about that. We want to see the three, and we want to see a guy to the rack.
Well, but
that's
the
why
whole point here.
Halliburton, in that way, Halliburton is fun to watch. He just keeps passing the damn ball.
Well,
Shoot
that's
the
the whole
damn
point.
ball,
I don't
Tyrese.
see anybody on the floor right now. How do I put it? I don't see anybody on the floor playing a little Showtime here, playing a little street court basketball every now and then, making it up as they go along, creating a play, creating something that's happening.
You're not watching enough.
Well, okay, then that's fair to say, but I don't see imagination on the players right now. I don't see imaginative offensive play, and I could see it last night with Indiana. When the Pacers turned the ball over 197 times, there was it just didn't seem to me as if they were trying to do anything outside of what you just talked about, the norm of the game. Take it, find your spot, shoot. Take it, find your spot, shoot. And to me, that's boring. I mean, I would much rather watch another sporting event. And I'll tell you what, sometimes I'll turn it over and I'll admit it, I'll turn on a WNBA game every now and then. And every now and then, I'll see something a little inventive. I'll see something a little fun. I'll see something that comes out of nowhere. I don't see it in the NBA anymore. WNBA is actually sometimes a little more fun.
Yeah, and for me, the college game was obviously we had the Gators win the title here, but it's much more for me, and Mike's the basketball expert, just fun to watch. It was more fluid. There was more passing, teamwork, all these things that you look for in a basketball for a basketball team in a basketball matchup. And I found that much more compelling than any NBA game I've watched.
It just almost seems like it's become rote. You know, the game will come out,
Do
the
you wanna-
NBA game will come on, and it's the exact same back and forth. That's what it seems. And I don't know what the answer is, but I will tell you this. It comes down again to this thinking. There is no marquee name in the NBA right now. There's not one name, and we've talked about this before. You could say that there's still LeBron James. LeBron James is at the end of his career. If you want to look at guys right now, good young studs coming up, there's nobody that excites me. It's like I want to say, hey, I want to go buy a ticket to go see this team because this player is coming to town or this guy is lighting it up right now. Mike, I don't see it. And I've watched a little basketball this season. Not enough, of course, I admit that. But I didn't see anybody that really lit me up. Anybody said, oh man, I got to watch him again. It's like, okay, basketball's here.
That's all, folks.